At Grandma's 82nd birthday, she lifted her teacup, smiled right at me, and asked, "Rain, tell me, what did you do with the $300,000 I gave you?" I felt my tongue glue to the roof of my mouth. "What 300,000, Grandma?" 20 minutes after that, the police were in her living room, and Grandma taught the thieves a lesson they'll never forget. Hey, internet, buckle up. This one snakes through money, blood, and backbone. I'm Rain, 31st gen small business freak who smells like cedar dust and espresso most days. I run a little woodshop cafe in Santa Fe. We make tables in the back and cortados up front. It's loud, honest work. My hands are scarred, my books are clean, and my peace is hard-won. My family. Not peaceful. At the center is Grandma June Collins, 82 sharp eyes, softer hands, zero tolerance for nonsense. She raised 3 kids alone after my granddad's stroke when my dad was still in high school. For 30 years, she ran a laundromat that doubled as community HQ. People came for quarters and left with advice. She can fold a fitted sheet and a person's ego with equal precision. My mom is Margot. She is all taste and no receipts. She collects problems like their designer handbags and expects someone else to foot the bill. My dad, Derek, confuses conflict avoidance with kindness. He doesn't so much make decisions as surrender them. And my older brother, Lyle, 35, is the idea man. The grind never interests him, only the play. If there is a shortcut, he'll trip on it and still sell you the map. The people who keep me grounded are my crew. Kai, my best friend and co-owner, talks in numbers and shows up with a cordless drill and snacks. Mina, my cousin, a bank compliance analyst in Houston, is my reality check. She doesn't gossip, she audits. Grandma's 82nd fell on a warm Saturday in June, weeks before she called me herself. "I want you here, Rain. No excuses. I will save you a slice of lemon cake the size of your head." I promised I'd come. I even carved her a mesquite jewelry box with a thin turquoise inlay that looked like a river through desert rock. It took me 3 late nights and 2 blisters, and it was worth it. 2 days before my flight, something started to itch. First, a group text from Mom. Party plans changing Grandma's not feeling well might postpone. Vague. Then a second message, same punctuation, same weird spacing, came from Dad. I could almost see the copy-paste. Later, Lyle called. "Sis, logistics are chaos. AC is out at Grandma's. We're moving everything to the church basement. Don't drive to her house. Go straight to St. Augustine Hall on Maple." He sounded too breezy. Lyle only sounds breezy when he's building a story. I asked Mina if she'd heard about any venue change. "Nope," she said. "Grand's AC is fine. I fixed the filter yesterday." Then she got quiet. "Watch your pockets." I flew in anyway. Non-refundable ticket. Non-refundable intuition. Houston was heavy and wet, the air like warm soup. I grabbed a rental and pointed it toward Maple Street. 10 minutes out, I got stuck behind a parade of SUVs turning onto Grandma's block. Balloons, a rented arch in her front yard, old church ladies in floral dresses carrying foil pans. So much for postpone. I parked 2 houses down the jewelry box wrapped in craft paper under my arm. When I rang the bell, my little cousin Ava opened it and went moon pale. "Rain." She glanced back over her shoulder like there was a trap door she could fall through. I stepped in, and the living room went quiet the way a mic squeals, then dies. Someone killed the playlist. Lyle froze behind the buffet, a deviled egg mid-air like a prop in a magic trick. Dad suddenly discovered a deep fascination with folding napkins. Mom swept in, fast smile lacquered on. She kissed the air near my cheek. "Don't make a scene," she hissed so softly I felt it more than heard it. Grandma changed her mind last minute. We tried to call. We tried. Then Grandma saw me. That woman lit up like sunrise. "There's my Rain," she sang, reaching out with both hands. I crossed the room and the tension melted long enough to let love in. I helped her open the box. When she brushed her fingers over the turquoise line, her mouth trembled. "Desert River," she whispered, "for an old woman who outlived the drought." She fastened the box shut with a snap. "You still see people, baby. Thank you. We ate. Lemon cake, brisket, the whole Texas poem. But the air felt off. Conversations stopped when I came close. A couple of neighbors shook my hand and looked past me like they were checking for storm clouds. Lyle worked the room like a politician telling a guy from church about an angel round he'd just closed. Mom laughed too high. Dad arranged chairs that were already straight. Then the toasts began. Uncle Roy told a story about Grandma sneaking tamales into the movie theater in her purse. People hollered. Lyle stood to brag that Grandma had blessed the grandkids to build our futures. He raised his glass like he'd invented gratitude. Mom dabbed fake tears and nodded. Grandma tapped her spoon for quiet. I have one question for each of my grandchildren, she said. Because gifts are love, but stewardship is love too. She turned to Lyle first. What did you do with yours? He leaned back, grin loaded. Invested, he said. Smart plays, diversified, already compounding. Of course he had a buzzword salad ready. Then she turned to me. Those blue eyes, steady, curious. Rain, tell me, what did you do with the $300,000 I gave you? My fork slipped. The plate clinked like a bell. 300,000. My throat went dry. Grandma, I said, careful. Slow. I didn't receive any money from you. A hush rolled in thick as wool. Mom's fingers clamped onto my forearm under the table. She's keeping her plans private, Mom chirped to the room. Very mature. Grandma didn't blink. I asked Rain. Her voice cut the air clean. She faced me again. You didn't get a wire in December? No, I said, not a penny. I watched her face change the way a storm builds a shift, a shadow, a line of cold wind through heat. She set her cup down. Derek, she said to my father, explain where Rain's money is. Dad went gray. He opened his mouth, then looked at Mom like a student caught with the answer key. Mom launched into a performance. June, we were protecting her. The market timing tax strategy, Lyle studied the ceiling fan like it had secrets. Grandma raised a hand. The room obeyed. Roy, she said to my uncle, call the police. That's the moment the air thinned. Someone gasped. Mom dropped her napkin. Dad stood, again. Lyle laughed a brittle laugh. Now let's not make this a circus, he said, palms up. This is a family matter. Family matters are exactly why the police exist. Grandma said, voice flat as a gavel. She looked at me, and for a second I had to look away. I wasn't embarrassed. I was furious, but it had a leash. Rain, she said softer now, you and I will fix this. Kai's texts buzzed my phone on the table like a tiny heartbeat. You okay? Need extraction? I turned the phone over face down. I could stand up by myself. Here's what I hadn't told anyone yet. In December, the week Mina says the wires went out, I was buried in holiday orders. We'd landed a corporate commission 12 conference tables with built-in cable tracks. I was living at the shop, sleeping 4 hours, drinking coffee like it was oxygen. I missed 2 calls from Dad that week and 1 from Mom. I assumed it was about where to put the cinnamon in the cider. I didn't call back until days later. When I did, Mom said everything was handled. I didn't ask what. That was my mistake. I forgot that in my family, handled often meant hidden. Breadcrumbs had been there. In January, an email from my bank about account access updates I thought was spam. In February, Lyle suddenly rolled up to Grandma's in a leased SUV claiming company car. In March, Dad asked me if I still had that old joint checking account from my college days for emergencies. I laughed it off. I closed that fossil years ago, I said. But now, staring at my parents, I wasn't so sure. Uncle Roy moved toward the hall phone. Old habits die hard. Mina, across the room, had already stepped onto the porch to make a call I knew wasn't for pizza. Mom spluttered, June, you can't do this to your own children. Grandma's mouth tightened. I didn't. You did. I stood. My voice came out calm, which surprised me. I want to be very clear. I did not authorize anyone to receive, move, invest, or touch any money intended for me. Lyle snorted. Rain, you hate dealing with money. You build things and drink foam art. You needed guidance? There it was. the confession wrapped in condescension. Grandma looked at him like a judge looks at a deflated excuse. She nodded once at me. "Sit, eat," she said. "Let me work." That should have been my first clue that she'd already built a plan. Outside, the siren was quiet. Houston cops aren't fond of drama. 2 officers walked in like they were coming to fix a sink. Grandma welcomed them with fresh lemonade. That's when Mom tried to grab my hand again. I slipped my fingers free. I wish I could tell you I was above shaking. I wasn't. Not from fear, from adrenaline. From the sudden clarity of a pattern I had papered over for years, small favors, shared accounts, emergencies that required my signature, but never my consent. Looking back, the signs were bright as hazard tape. I had called them family quirks. Today I was calling them theft. Before the officers asked their first question, Grandma opened a folder I hadn't seen her carry. Neat tabs, photocopies, dates highlighted. She'd been ready long before I showed up. She always is. The officers took their time. Calm steps, neutral faces. Grandma poured them lemonade like they were neighbors dropping by. Then she slid the folder onto the coffee table. Tabs, dates, copies, highlighter lines like runway lights. "Officer," she said, "these are the December wires. Each grandchild, each amount. Initialed when they confirmed receipt." She tapped a list. "Rain never confirmed?" He glanced up at me. "Your Rain, yes. You didn't receive the funds, no." Mom jumped in. "We protected it for her. Markets were volatile." Our pastor said. Grandma's eyebrow rose. "Our pastor said to follow the law." Dad tried a smile. It wilted. "It's just a mix-up, June." "It's theft," Grandma said. Not a shout. A verdict. Mina stepped forward from the doorway, badge lanyard tucked in her purse, but attitude unmistakable. "I work in bank compliance," she told the officers. "If Rain consents, I can walk through the trail." She looked at me. "You say the word." "Do it," I said. She pulled on latex gloves from her tote. "Only Mina carries gloves to a birthday party." She set her laptop down and asked Grandma for the copies. Then she started at the top. December 20th, she read. "Outgoing wire from June Collins Money Market to Rain C. 12327 in the amount of 300,000 even." She lifted her head. "Rain is Wacom 2427 yours." "It was," I said slowly. "Old joint account from college." I thought I closed it. Mom folded her arms. "It's still active. For emergencies." "Whose emergencies?" I asked. No one answered. Mina kept going. December 23rd. Full balance from 1427 to Collins Family Fund, LLC, 6094. She blinked once. "Who owns that?" Lyle coughed. "A vehicle, for tax efficiency." Mina's cursor hovered. Formed 3 days before the wire. Manager Derek Collins. Registered agent M. Collins. Purpose line, kiosk franchising, and ad tech. Grandma's jaw set. "You formed a company with my name while telling my granddaughter her gift didn't exist." Lyle raised both hands. "You're thinking small. This is scale. Automated retail. Smart kiosks in airports and hospitals. Touchless. Subscription revenue. We got early placement through a partner, Red Raven Interactive. They needed seed. We delivered. Win-win." Ava. Sweet 12-year-old Ava piped up from beside the TV without looking away from her phone. "Is that why you told Mom the Red Raven booths would pay for Grandma's new roof by spring?" The room froze around her sentence. Lyle stared daggers. "Ava." She shrank, cheeks pink. "Sorry." There it was, the slip. The revealer wasn't a villain. She was a kid who listened. The older officer cleared his throat. "Right now, this looks like a dispute over funds moved within an account where another party had access." He raised a palm when I started to protest. "I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it may be civil until forgery or false pretenses show up." "Ma'am," he turned to Grandma. "You mentioned emails." Grandma nodded. "Printed." She handed him more pages. "I asked Derek for Rain's routing number in December. He sent this." The officer scanned the email. His eyebrows lifted. This says, use the same account Rain always uses for emergencies. Signed, Rain C. He held the page out to me. That your signature? I studied the scrawl. It looked like my name had been dragged by a mouse. No. Mina leaned in. That's an e-sign. We can subpoena IP logs for the consent stamp. Mom laughed too loud. Oh, please. Rain is forgetful. She probably clicked through. You know how she is in December. Busy with her little tables. My little tables pay my rent, I said. My voice was steady. It surprised me again. Grandma's lawyer, Ms. Salazar, walked in then like she had been down the block the whole time. Tall, calm, a briefcase that could hold a courtroom. I was in the neighborhood, she said. Translation June called earlier. She set a thin binder next to the folder. We'll preserve everything. Nobody deletes anything. Phone's on the table. She glanced at the officers. Agreed. The older one nodded. Please don't alter records. Mom clutched her phone. This is invasive. Ms. Salazar's smile never touched her eyes. So is theft. Dad placed his phone down first, hands trembling. Lyle hesitated. Then he did it too, face hard. Mina connected each phone to a portable write blocker. Click, click, click. I'm only mirroring, she said. Nothing changes on your device. It just keeps the file system from trying to be helpful. She said helpful like it had fangs. While she worked, Kai called again. I stepped onto the porch. Sweat, magnolia, night insects tuning up. I picked up. You breathing? He asked, trying. Document everything. Freeze any old accounts. Use the app now. I'll lock the business credit just in case. I love you, I said before my brain could edit. Love you too, he said, practical as a wrench. Go win. I sat on the porch swing and opened my banking app. There it was. The fossil account. Still open. Still linked to an email address I didn't recognize. I slammed the freeze. Changed every password. Placed fraud alerts. When I came back in, Mina had the living room TV mirroring Lyle's iPad. Let's talk about Red Raven, she said. A pitch deck filled the screen. Slick. Red birds. Tagline. We monetize idle minutes. Slide 2 showed a photo of kiosks in a glossy hospital lobby. Slide 5 listed angel investors. In big letters, Collins Family Fund, $600,000 committed. Under it, smaller founders fee, 8%. Advisory fee, 4%. Grandma pointed. Founders fee. Mina zoomed. Paid to Lyle, personally. Lyle folded his arms. It's standard. In real companies, Mina said, with real diligence. Not with your grandmother's money. And not before service delivery. Mom was losing the plot. It's an investment, she insisted. It helps everyone. Rain would have wasted that money on coffee machines. I bought a dust collector, I said. It saves lungs. Ms. Salazar flipped a page in her binder. We'll be seeking an injunction to prevent further transfer. We'll also pursue civil recovery and refer any forged consent to the DA's office. She turned that cool gaze on my parents. You will make full restitution. Dad looked down at his hands. We thought Grandma cut in. No, you didn't think. He flinched. It hurt to watch. He is not a monster. He is an absence. The younger officer spoke for the first time. Do you have any physical assets tied to Red Raven? Lyle brightened. Yes, demo units in a storage facility off I-45. We're placing them next month. Mina blinked slowly. Which facility? South Belt Storage, he said before he could stop himself. Ms. Salazar shut her binder. Then we'll see them in the morning. Bring keys, bring contracts. Mom tried to change tactics. June, this is humiliating. Can't we handle it privately? Grandma's eyes softened, then cooled. I would have. You avoided honesty. You chose humiliation. She turned to me. Rain, you stay with me tonight. It wasn't a question. Okay. People began to leave. The party taste soured. Confetti clung to the hardwood like regret. Neighbors hugged Grandma. Some hugged me. No one hugged my mother. Lyle hovered near the hall, texting with his jaw clenched. Dad put chairs back under the table one by one as if order could be stacked. In the kitchen, I rinsed plates while Grandma dried. Old rhythms, easy silence. Finally, she said, "Do you remember the year your mother sold your birthday bike at a garage sale?" I nodded. "I was 10. She said I'd outgrown it." "I lied to you. I said it was fine." Grandma folded a dish towel. "Because you are kind. Kind does not mean quiet. I know that now," I said. I meant it. Around midnight, Mina knocked on the guest room door with her laptop. "2 more things," she said. 1, Red Raven has a pending complaint with the state filed by an ER nurse who paid a franchise fee and never received a kiosk. 2, the Collins Family Fund sent $10,000 to a card services company in January. Matching your mother's new card. The knot in my chest tightened, then loosened. "Thank you. I'm the validator, remember?" She smiled a little. "Sleep. Alarm at 6. Storage opens at 7. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that crooked e-signature. I saw my name used to bless a theft. At 5:45, I was already dressed. Jeans, boots, hair up. I found Grandma at the table with coffee and a legal pad. Her notes were clean. Arrows, boxes. She had circled one word 3 times: restitution. Dad came in from the backyard, eyes swollen, smelling like cold grass. He didn't look at me. "Morning," he said to the room. "Morning," Grandma answered. Same tone she used with the plumber. Nothing extra. Lyle arrived late, sunglasses on, inside. Keys jingling like a soundtrack. Mom trailed him lips tight, wearing a blazer that said "respectable" louder than she did. We drove in a quiet little convoy. My rental behind Grandma's Buick. Ms. Salazar behind me. Mina with the officers. Lyle's truck last. The sky was the bruised purple of Houston dawn. We pulled into South Belt Storage and parked in a row. The place was a concrete maze. Corridors, roll-up doors, a golf cart humming somewhere. Damp air that smelled like dust and wet cardboard. Lyle strutted ahead and punched in a code with a flourish. The gate slid open like a sigh. We turned left, then right, then left again. Our footsteps echoed. A fluorescent bulb flickered overhead. He stopped at Unit C-17 and held up his keys like a magician about to reveal a rabbit. "Prepare to be impressed," he said. Metal groaned as he tugged the door. The lock clanked. The door rolled up, rattling the way thunder rattles window glass. Inside, the truth waited. Cold, bright, unavoidable. Metal rattled up the tracks. Dust lifted in a ribbon. A band of gray daylight slid across concrete and stopped at my boots. Inside the unit sat 3 kiosks. Not sleek, not medical grade, not anything close to the glossy pitch deck. They were cheap aluminum cabinets on plastic casters. A 32-inch TV was bolted inside each frame with crooked brackets. A consumer tablet was zip-tied to a plywood shelf where a payment terminal should be. The Red Raven logos were vinyl stickers rippling at the edges. One sticker had a bubble trapped under the R like a blister. It smelled like hot metal and stale sugar. Somewhere a gecko clicked. The fluorescent bulb above us hummed like a bad idea. Mina stepped in first. She ran a gloved finger along the back of the nearest unit. It came away black. "No grounding," she said. "No cooling. No PCI shield." She squatted. "And that's a fake card slot." She flicked it with her nail. The slot fell off and clattered to the floor. Hot glue strings stretched and snapped. The younger officer let out a very small whistle. The older one scribbled in his notebook. Lyle spread his arms. "They're demo frames," he said. "Shells. The guts arrived this week." From where, Mina asked. "Our integrator," he said. "They're overseas. Supply chain." Ms. Salazar circled the closest cabinet phone up, camera clicking. Model numbers, serial plates, anything that ties to a purchase order. Her voice was even. "Mr. Collins, keys to any crates." "There aren't crates," Lyle said. Too quick. I rapped my knuckles on the second kiosk. Hollow. I tugged the back panel. The screws were for show. The panel slid away in my hand. Inside, a tangle of bargain bin extension cords and a power strip from a dollar store. No PC, no router, no battery backup. Just 2 bricks taped to the base for weight. Grandma edged beside me. She peered in without a word, Her jaw set. The soft of her went hard as oak. Behind us, Mom forced a laugh. Rain, you don't understand prototypes. I understand gravity, I said. I lifted one of the bricks out and set it on the lip of the frame. Dust puffed. Everything here is pretending to be heavier than it is. Ava stood in the doorway, chewing her lip. Is it supposed to look that way? She asked no one. The honest question of a kid. It cracked something in me. Not anger, a deeper ache. What she was learning about adults today would stick. The storage manager puttered up on a golf cart clipboard on his lap. Morning, he said, eyes flicking from uniforms to suits to family drama. Y'all with Unit C-17? Yes, Ms. Salazar said. We need the ledger of access. He nodded like this wasn't his strangest day. Last week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. This morning, code ending 6019. He looked at Lyle. That your code? Lyle lifted his chin. Company code? The manager scratched his cheek. You also have C-19 on the same account. My head snapped. Another unit. Lyle opened his mouth. Closed it. Overflow, he said. We walked 20 yards past cobwebs and corrugated roll-ups. He unlocked C-19. The door jerked up. Inside, 2 broken mannequins, a folded trade show banner with Reed Raven Interactive in bold red, a box of branded stress balls, 3 plastic pedestals, and a hand truck with a flat tire. In the corner, a stack of white binders leaned like a miniature skyline. Mina moved to the binders. She flipped one open and let out a low sound. Franchise packets, she said. Non-disclosure templates, ACH authorization forms. Starter fees. She turned a page. Receipts. Look, she pointed. Names, dates, $12,500, $17, $9. A note, ER Grace will wire after night shift. Grandma's hand landed on my shoulder. Not heavy, steady. Red Raven isn't selling kiosks, Mina said. It's selling boxes of air. Market timing was rough, Lyle muttered. Stop, Miss Salazar said, and the word had weight. Every additional sentence is a nail. Mom tried a new angle. We were going to make everyone whole once placement started. She looked at me, eyes bright with a performance I knew too well. Rain, the plan was always to give you your money back first. You gave me a lie, I said. My voice didn't rise. It dropped. And you used my name to wrap it. The older officer held up a palm. Folks, we're not trying this in the hallway. We document. You can pursue civil recovery, and if there's forgery, criminal referrals. He nodded at the binders. We'll take photos of those. The air conditioner in the office kicked on somewhere cool breath through a hot box. Sunlight knifed under the door and lit the dust in glittering suspension. I watched one red raven feather from the banner peel off and drift to the floor. Even their bird was shedding. Ms. Salazar opened her briefcase and slid out 2 crisp forms. Mr. Lyle Collins, she said, tone surgical. You are the manager of Collins Family Fund, LLC. He hesitated. Yes. You represent that the LLC owns the property in these units. Yes. Then you will sign a transfer of possession to June Collins as partial restitution pending final accounting. Mom lunged. Absolutely not. Lyle looked at the officers. You can't force me. We're not forcing, Ms. Salazar said. We're offering to note your refusal, which will be Exhibit A when we file for a restraining order at 9:00 a.m. Monday and request a writ to seize assets. She slid a pen across the binder spine. Refusal also risks a spoliation claim if anything disappears between now and court. Lyle stared at the pen like it might bite. He flicked his eyes to Dad. Dad stared at the concrete. Sweat ran down his temple and disappeared into his collar. Grandma didn't move. She just waited. June has the patience of winter. Lyle snatched the pen. Fine, he said. He signed. The letters were angry. The ink looked like a bruise. Ms. Salazar countersigned. Thank you. She turned to the storage manager. We will need locks changed to our locks and access codes updated. Yes, ma'am, he said, already reaching for a new cylinder. He'd done this before. Mina kept digging. Found the founder's fee transfers, she said. 8% to L. Collins Consulting, 4% to M. Collins Advisory. Travel to Vegas labeled Red Raven Summit, hotel suites, bottle service. She looked up. You used the word summit to hide a party. Mom flushed. We networked. You danced, Mina said, on other people's savings. The younger officer took a quiet lap of the unit, taking pictures with a body cam. The older one handed me a card. Case numbers on the back, he said. If you see changes to any accounts, call immediately. And consider a protective order covering documents and devices. Already in motion, Ms. Salazar said. I stepped back to C-17 and ran my palm along the cabinet's edge. Raw metal rasping. My hand came away gray. I thought about my shop, how I sand teak until it pours light like honey, how a joint seals so clean the air sighs. This box was the opposite, cut corners, cheap glue, the lie that packaging equals product. Rain, Grandma said. Look, a small black case hid behind the pedestals, heavier than it looked. Sticky latches. I snapped them open. Rows of prepaid debit cards rubber banded. A sheet taped to the lid, load plan. Arrows, amounts, initials LCMCDC. Mina hissed through her teeth. Laundering or ducking chargebacks, Mom moved closer. Those are for travel stipends, for who I asked. She didn't answer. Ms. Salazar didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Mr. and Mrs. Collins, my direct line. She slid a card into Mom's blazer like pinning a hem. By noon tomorrow, every statement, every login, every contract. You will not delete. You will not clean up. One odd password reset, and I file preservation orders and loop in the DA on forgery. She looked at Lyle. You'll list every payer, names, amounts, dates, and what you promised. Lyle smirked. Or a judge makes you, she said, and bills you for my time. We stood in a ring around empty promises. A truck downshifted beyond the fence. A dog barked twice. The sky bleached toward noon. I texted Kai found shells, signing transfer, cards, binders. He replied instantly. Proud of you, document receipts, adding second credit freeze. Coffee on me at noon when you're done punching the ocean? I smiled. He always knew how to make the ground hold. The manager changed the locks and handed Grandma 2 cheap brass keys. She slid them between House and Buick, simple gesture, heavy meaning custody control consequences. One more thing, he said as we left. Unit C21 rented yesterday, Raven Interactive. No red, same card. Open it, Mina said. 30 feet later, a folding table, a printer, a trash bag full of fresh curling shreds. Mina looked at the officers. There's your "we're done here" destruction after notice. The older officer nodded. We'll add it. Grandma faced Lyle. Go home. Bring every keycard login. You have 24 hours to write your list. Then you'll sit at my table while I call everyone you took from and tell them when they'll be made whole. He tried to laugh. It came out a cough. You can't fix optics with apologies. I'm not fixing optics, she said. I'm fixing harm. Heat pressed down as we walked to the cars. A torn scrap of the banner stuck to my shoe. I peeled it off and tossed it into the bed of truth we'd just opened. Mom stopped me. Her voice was small. Rain, you don't have to do this to us. I'm not doing it to you, I said. I'm doing it for the people you didn't think about. Your grandmother is turning you against us. No, you did that. Back home, Grandma set the keys on the counter, opened her legal pad. Phase 2, bank phone court. Phase 2, I said. At the bank, Ortiz calm, like he'd seen everything twice, printed histories until the machine groaned. December 20th, incoming wire. 23rd, full balance to Collins Family Fund, LLC. January cash advance tied to that LLC. ATMs, Vegas, Austin, Scottsdale. 2 purchases at Banner Pro Exhibits. Keep these tidy. Mina didn't blink. I'll ledger every dollar. Ms. Salazar. Hold letters to the storage facility card processor and Red Raven by noon. And June's trusted contact becomes Rain. Ortiz nodded. Done. My phone buzzed Adult Protective Services. Alleged financial exploitation of Ms. June Collins by a family member. Welfare check in an hour. Mom's play, I said. Then we tidy and make coffee, Grandma said. Company's coming. Caseworker Rivera spoke with Grandma, then stepped out smiling. She's oriented. Dates Med's budget will draft with counsel. 10 labeled folders. If there's exploitation, it isn't pointed at her. Quietly, the report hinted undue influence by a granddaughter. Looks like sour grapes. She closed the case, no findings. Ava skidded up, breathless. Mom and Lyle were at St. Augustine's with Pastor Lou and a notary pushing emergency guardianship. A plan to call Grandma confused freeze my account's undue transfers. We drove straight there. In the office, Salazar laid down letters of representation, affidavits, Ortiz's prints, APS closure. File false capacity claims, and it is fraud. Dad cracked first money moved lies told Grandma's trust treated like a card. Grandma set terms repay $300,000 plus interest to me, refund every franchise fee in 30 days, full access by sunset, no shredders or court, and you're out of the will. They signed debt acknowledgments and a non-disposal agreement. We turned the fellowship hall into a refund center, whiteboard columns, envelopes, calls to victims. A deputy served our TRO belts and suspenders. Rivera stopped by a discreet thumbs up. Then Evan, the whistleblower, arrived with a thumb drive. Lyle bragging on audio about forging my e-sign, never installing a single unit. Slack logs. Please stop typing crimes. Ghost invoices signed by Mom. Police collected devices. Salazar opened a DA intake. Lyle watched his own words and ran out of spin. Paper is power, Salazar told him. In court, the judge issued an injunction asset freeze a receiver for the family LLC passwords due by 5 p.m. No contact with victims, and a consent judgment for my $300,000. Lyle took probation and restitution. Mom got diversion and a solicitation ban. We finished refunds. I expanded the shop and started a community bench program for nurses and first responders. Grandma kept the amended will and the house rules truth receipts, no pitches. I used to think love was tolerance. Now I think it's boundaries, repair, and telling the truth even when it's loud.